Yes, that was perfect. All right. And I am back here in the fandom zone. And tonight we are doing a roundtable discussion on Annabelle. Like, I want to try to keep this spoiler free for anyone who will be in here watching this and they haven't yet seen the movie. So, gentlemen, we're going to try our very best. If we give out any spoilers, I give a spoiler warning. But I think, what do you guys think? I think we could talk about this without giving too much away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just kind of like to see how the conversation goes, and we'll see if we can tap dance around this. But I really feel like I needed to have this discussion. This was one of the movies, and Terrence, I wish we had you for our first one with uh, Chucky because we went into it. It would have not been nice to get your perspective as someone. We had two people in that case who didn't like it. This conversation is going to be pretty even though, because I absolutely positively did not like this movie. Purp liked the movie, and I feel like you're going to be in the middle of the road. So I think this is going to be a very balanced conversation. But before we get started, let me give a shout out to the chat. We've got PD, my
PB.
here for the Phantom Zone. He'll be in there later. We got Nisha C. How are you? We have Mega Jetty One at General Zod. Haven't seen the movie and not interested in seeing. Not my cup of tea. Spoil away. We're gonna see what we could do without spoiling it. We've got Trap in here. We've got 19K Fox. What's up? So, starting off with five people. Thank you, everybody who's here on the channel. I think PV gave me a thumbs down for waiting. You son of a bitch. But, anyways, so let's dive into this. I'm going to give a brief synopsis. If I miss anything, you guys can feel free to jump in and chime in with anything that I miss. But the overall gist of this movie, without giving away, is it is based upon the Annabelle franchise, which is in the Conjuring universe. Yes, the Conjuring universe, because now everything has to have a connected universe because they love riding that Marvel coattails. Um, we've had three movies, and Annabelle is interesting because the first movie was meh, the second movie was just great, and then this third movie I felt was not up to par. If they were going to cap this off as a trilogy, I thought that this was meh at best, at least for me. My
Zod,
rating.
no, I had to say, like with the Conjuring franchise, I don't think, James Wan and them had the whole, like, we're trying to do MCU in mind. I think what happened is that when they made something and it became extremely popular, they decided to keep it going. Not so much that they're trying to copy anybody else.
Well, I think the media more or less dubbed it as a connected universe. Um,
Yeah,
I think though that they played off of that because a lot of the Easter eggs you get in the movie have
yeah,
all directly, like in this movie, in the other movies, they've all directly connected in some way to the Conjuring as a whole.
yeah.
Yes, Mega Jetty, DM me about that. Hell yeah, I want to watch Big Trouble in Little China. Let me tell you, that movie, oof, that's a classic. Love that movie. That movie was so great. But yeah, the Conjuring, I think, kind of, I don't mind it being a connected universe because unlike other franchise that have tried to force connectivity, I just felt that the story kind of just naturally came about and connected on their own. It was an organic thing where then they just started leaving like little Easter eggs. You had like the nun, um, you had even the Curse of La Llorona. It
Yeah,
that
both of those were trash, but yeah, continue.
yeah. I did not like the Nun. I did not like the Curse of La Llorona at all, and I've got a review on that. Um, I thought it was interesting in the beginning, and then it falls apart at the end. the connections to The Conjuring were very, very loose. Like, I'm a fan of the movies, and I caught the priest, and I was like, oh, okay, this is
Well,
connected to The Conjuring. And then that was an interesting film because it gained a little traction towards the end of its run once people realized that it was connected to The Conjuring. Something interesting about these films, because we brought this up last night, and Sean Stackhouse had looked at the numbers. They've actually, all of the movies except for really The Curse of La Llorona, have done exceedingly well for horror films. The Nun did stupid good in the movies. So I think that
But I mean, I feel like considering what they are, which is a horror movie, I feel like they're successful enough. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 7 movies in the franchise with 2 other ones on the way.
which
oh yeah,
that's
these
an
are
accomplish that's an accomplishment in itself. Just to have 7 films.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
7 horror
yeah,
films.
yep,
Mhm.
When you get into like, I like to call this Saw territory. Remember how Saw became like, it went from like that like movie that shocked us to like almost being like a Halloween event, at least for me. And I know the other movies weren't that great, but I still love them. I have a super chat from AML, said, I have arrived to snap next. I don't like that reference, man. Come on.
yeah.
Don't
I
like that.
think I prefer the Conjuring franchise to Saw because after number 2, nobody cares. Like in the
Right.
case of the
I got
Conjuring franchise,
Exactly.
yeah, like after the Conjuring, like 1 and 2, people still cared, and then they got more excited when they realized it was connected. You don't have that same excitement with Saw. Like people only went
And
to see it by default because they're like, what are they gonna do this time?
and The
yeah.
Conjuring is based off of true events, so that helps it too.
Yeah,
People like based off of true
that is
stereotypes.
true. That is true, per. But I take that with a grain of salt because I will harker
Yeah,
back to the old days, like when they said the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was based on a true story. But then, like
yeah,
when you look into it,
yeah.
you find
Obviously,
that there's Ed Gein. Yeah, like they exaggerated it and shit. No,
yeah.
So let's first with the synopsis. I think that's pretty much it, right? Annabelle. Uh, it picks up after creation. The Warrens get Annabelle, lock that crazy bitch into a consecrated like this. Now, see, this is the first thing that I want to talk about before we get into it because they lock it into a case. The 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 mother there, she says that the doll is a gateway, but I thought it was established in the earlier movie that it was demonic possession. So see, this is right here already at the onset of this. I felt like they had kind of like already been contradicting themselves because I could have sworn that
Well,
in the other Annabelle movies, it was established that this was like a demon possession. I'm not
well,
spoiling anything.
well,
This,
but I mean, like it still did that though, like because once you see the movie and stuff, you see that there's still that one demon that's there. You still see the little girl. It's just because everything else that happened, which we got to get to, but like that's what made it seem like it was something else. But like the bare essentials were still there.
right.
yeah, they did. They showed the little girl from the first 2 movies, and they showed the demon thing from creation. I got all that, but then I felt like the whole thing that they added to make everything else that happened. I felt like that was kind of thrown into this one with no real explanation. I don't, for the life of me, remember them saying that. It could have been in creation, but I'm pretty sure I don't remember them saying it was a beacon.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
but
that's
here's a
that's the same thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could be a strong enough demon where it, like, you know what I'm saying, attracts other things.
right, right, exactly, perp. Because like, see, um, wait, are we gonna go like from the beginning, or should I just continue? Because like, I was gonna say that when you have the blonde chick and then the babysitter of Judy, and then you have her friend come in and she goes into that room, she literally touched everything in there.
And
And
everything because it's trailers when they show up on scene, you know, what'd you touch? And she's like,
And
everything.
that's all in the trailer, by the way, too. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you're
So
not.
that to me, that's why we had so much stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we had so much stuff, Zod, because of that, and it wasn't just only because of Annabelle. Because like, if it were just Annabelle, it would have got we'd have had like more of what we saw in the first two. But because she literally touched everything else in the room, on top of Annabelle, it just seemed like Annabelle was controlling everything when really she just was a part of everything else that was happening, and it was so much of it.
Uh, coming at that from that from that side, I guess I can kind of understand that kind of puts to rest my in my mind some plot holes that I had. But my biggest problem with the film was that first like what 45 minutes I want to say of the film, and keep in mind it's like an hour and 46 minutes. I just felt this film was boring, like
I think.
painfully boring to get through. Like,
Mm,
and I understand that there's buildup, but at this point in the franchise, to really have 45 minutes, and DP, welcome. Uh, you
what's
know,
up,
um,
DP?
glad that
What's
you're
up,
hanging
DP?
with nephews. Thanks for dropping some love, man. To be in this late in the game and to have a 45-minute lull, I feel that that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but you know, from the beginning of the movie when you see the Warrens and then you see like all the spirits and stuff, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then it, kind of made me think of The Conjuring. And then you get back to the house and you see that the daughter is going to school and all that. I'm like, okay, so it looks like the Warrens are going to be gone half of the movie or all the movie. Like they're probably not going to be around for when stuff goes sideways. And we see that the only reason why it went sideways is because of the friend of that babysitter. Like this whole movie is only possible because that dumb bitch did the one thing that she was told not to do.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I didn't mind that part. For any horror movie, you got to have the catalyst. And to be fair to that friend, I did like how they explained her motivations for doing the stupid things that she did. I even did like a scene later in the movie at the very end of it that kind of tied all of her storyline together. I thought that was kind of cool. You guys know what I'm talking about. If
But
any,
she was still dumb though. Like I'm like it. I don't care what your motivations are. There is no reason to go into a room where it is full of cursed objects and for you to touch every single thing. Like it just like there's no way that a logical person would think this will help me by messing with everything that I possibly can. That's like the
but yeah,
And,
quickest way to
not
and
die.
logical
you know what
people.
made it worse? You know what made it worse? Like she knew about it too.
Yeah,
She
she
was fully
did.
aware.
Yeah, she was fully aware, like, cause she had this kind of smile where she was like, "Mm-hmm, yeah, I heard about it," but you could tell she wasn't really believing it all the way. She was like, "I'm gonna get in there and test the waters and see what happens." So it's not like she was ignorant, which made it even worse. Like Perp said, like this female knew exactly what she was doing, and if she wanted to, like, see, a smart person would have been like, "Look, Judy, do you think that you can help me speak to so and so, or do you feel like your parents could help me?" Like that would have been smart because I'm pretty sure they would have did that like in a safer way instead of her going down there, releasing Annabelle and touching everything in the room. Like that can't be explained away just because she wants to see somebody.
I was thinking about something else, like going back to Annabelle in the future, like in our current time. Why the fuck they don't have like a security code, whatever thing for Annabelle now? They still got a lock and key.
Right, right.
Yeah,
That's a
you
good
got
point, Perp.
this a shot in the what? This is supposed to be like
That might.
the mid '80s.
Yeah, but I mean, they could have a better security. But here's the thing, though. While that's true, it makes perfect sense, and they should have better security. It's like they don't
Like
really
that's
have many.
insane.
They don't really have many visitors. Like if ever.
Yep.
Like I feel like the only reason that that chick was there is because hey, we need someone to watch her
Yeah.
daughter. But to me, I'm like, first of all, this is a teenage girl. Teenagers are stupid. Okay, so like they don't listen. So now it turned out that that babysitter she listened. It was her friend that was stupid. But it's like
Right.
there is no reason that you should leave someone in your house when you have all that stuff there because odds are it's either going to be them that don't listen, they're going to invite people over, or a person that doesn't listen, and a lot of people can get hurt and killed. Like it just to me, that's just a bad idea for the Warrens to even leave that kind of situation open. Like that to me, my brain was hurting. I'm like, there is no way that you can be that comfortable. Like you got all these signs on the door talking about don't enter demonology and this and that, but I'm like, how often do humans listen when you tell them not to do something?
Like it literally had the devil tarot card right on that shit. Like she still
Right.
wanted.
And
I was like,
she
you.
and she right. Like what perp, what happened, perp? Like
Yeah, yeah.
That shit was wild.
And you want to know something though? This plays to the real life because I read about uh, the real life stuff before I went into this, and one thing that always bothers me about this whole creation, and they kind of explain why they did this on it. Originally, they had this Raggedy Ann doll. And I thought that would have worked better because Raggedy Ann by default it doesn't look creepy, so it puts your guard down. But the original doll was a Raggedy Ann doll, and I'll tell you a story that I read, and you guys can look this up. It's under the uh, the cases of the Warrens. Is that they had this doll in a display, and that later on it became like a museum. The little cursed artifact thing. They like let people in and stuff because they had that thing blessed like every twice a week or whatever. And
right.
so there was a story where there was a dude and his girlfriend. This dude had a motorcycle or whatever, typical. I'm a badass. I don't believe in any of this, right? Goes and touches the display case, and the Warrens like this was before because after a while they gated that off. They put like a full gate around it where no one could get near it, but before you could touch the glass. So dude was touching glass, insulting the doll, like this doll looks like shit, blah blah blah. Right. So the dude goes with his girl, get on their bike, they leave. And all of a sudden they go 5 miles down the road, the dude's brakes fails, kills him and his girlfriend instantly. They slam into a tree. To this day, they can't explain it. They said when they checked over the motorcycle and everything, nothing was wrong on it. Tell me that shit isn't weird. So this doll has always been contention of like a lot of mysterious, crazy deaths happened around this doll. A lot of supernatural stuff, and
Yep.
even with these
Yep.
movies, I thought they could have done so many kind of things that played into that. Because even behind the case, it was kind of looked at like this thing was the epitome out of all of the artifacts that the Warrens have. This thing was like the most cursed. No one knows why. Even the Warrens don't really dive into, you know, the process of getting it. I'm sure the movie embellished a lot of things, but um, yeah, that was the one thing that they have that freaked them out the most. And then that accident happened, and that's when they completely gated it off. Like you couldn't even get near the case anymore.
Well, I
That's
mean, in terms of but I mean, in terms of the Annabelle doll, it was like, number one, they had it in their house. Number two, it was in a place that, if you're in their house, you could reach it fairly easily. You could kick down the door, whatever, whatever. But like the fact that it was in that case, I'm like, this is not going to be a problem as long as it's number one, that it's blessed on a regular basis. And number two, nobody opens the case. So
I
this
always wonder.
entire. Mm,
My fault. I was just-
no, 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 go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Bert. Go ahead.
Nah, I always thought like it was weird that they always had a specific room to keep all the most evil, possessed, cursed items and shit, and you got a child, in like the next room.
Well, I mean, but see, I
That
was
shit
okay
crazy.
with that. Like, I was okay with that perk because they trained their daughter. Like, Judy knew
Right.
exactly what to do. Like, to me,
She was
I only have a
she
problem with that shit when the child is ignorant to everything.
right. She was the smartest character in that whole movie.
Yeah, I like Judy a lot. She was the only one that I cared about aside from the Warrens. I'm like, Judy is dope.
Right.
Like, she like it to me. It doesn't matter the age of the person as long as they're competent and they have the confidence and to do whatever it is they need to do. Because the way that Judy was acting amongst all that stuff, like I know plenty of adults, that are just cowards. Like they panic at the smallest things. So I'm like, they wouldn't be able to have the strength of what I saw of Judy in that movie. And that's just facts right there. So I'm like, Judy is on point. It's just that when you invite others into your house, like that's the only time to me when problems are going to happen, as we saw, because it's not like Judy went in there like, oh, let's see what my parents are working on. Again, because, she's not ignorant. She was taught about those things and what to do if it happens and not to go in there, which is why she told that brunette female, don't go into the room. And then she gave her like that look, like, don't fuck this shit up. And she did it anyway.
Yeah, there was some glaring issues. There were some glaring issues with that, but the one thing that got me about the film that's still my biggest pet peeve was how slow it was. I mean, am I crazy or does anyone else feel the same way? Like, I'm sorry, this movie was slow for a
It
horror.
No,
It
it
was
wasn't slow for me.
painfully slow.
It wasn't slow for me. Like it started pretty fast for as short as it was. If you take out the credits, it was probably like an hour and 30.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning scene had me in it, and then there was that lull in the middle, like, them preparing this, preparing that, telling the back. I mean, there
no
was a
no
part
no
where I
no
was kind of
I
dozing
I got
off,
you, Zod.
just
Like I can
wait.
respect that.
Yeah,
Uh,
you know what I mean? It was like there were certain parts where it was like, come on, like let's
well,
go. We only got so much time here.
well,
Like don't get me wrong, when it hit that last like 20 minutes or so, then I was engaged. But then again, it didn't feel like an Annabelle movie to me because it was like and don't get me wrong, seeing everything else that they had and the things that were going on there was cool, but it felt like a promotion for like The Conjuring 3. I'm like, all right, that's cool, but like I mean, this doesn't now feel like Annabelle. It kind of felt like they put Annabelle until the very, very end on like the back burner, and we were
right,
seeing all
right.
this other stuff.
Well, I
And I
mean,
it's very
like I feel kind of like that, but it's like to me, I didn't really think the movie was slow either. Like in the way that Perp was saying, like, because you know, when you have like the story that you have, it really only works by you building up like the what's supposed to happen in terms of like, okay, obviously at some point somebody's not going to listen or anything could happen. Say an earthquake happens and then it shakes something just enough to fall off of a shelf and then everybody's fucked. Like it's going to happen in some kind of a way. So it's just more of you wait and see, and then once the old shit moment happens, how are these characters going to deal with it, because the Warrens are not around, so they're going to have to do it on their own.
yeah, yeah.
So to
I
me
can
that was the
I
most
can kind of
terrifying part.
I can kind of get what you're saying with that. It's just like the middle, like after the stuff that happened in the beginning happened, which was like, oh shit, that was kind of cool, and then the whole mill part for me was just like, oh god, slow. And then like, when stuff goes down towards like getting close to the end, and then I was re-engaged. But I was just like, it felt like the Nun. It was the same way. Like you had a good intrigue set up right in the beginning, and the shots in that movie were beautiful. I was in it, especially that beginning part where like all the sisters dying and all that crap. And I was like, whoa, this movie's about to be off the hook, right? And then, you have that middle part that's like draggy. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't care about, Father so and so and blah, blah, blah. And then
I,
bam, the ending hits that little part. And then we see a little Easter egg where you see where it connects to the Conjuring. I'm like, okay, cool. But it's like, once again, my problem with some of these movies is that middle piece is slow as shit, and I don't understand. I mean, it's pacing.
I
Yeah.
don't want to disrespect Annabelle by comparing it to the Nun, because the Nun is just trash completely.
No, I'm not saying it's like on that level. I'm just saying as far as the slowdown felt kind of the same to me. It was
Okay,
like it was a
okay,
whole.
okay. I see what you're saying, Zod, but I'll tell you this. Um, when it comes to something being fast or slow, any kind of particular pace, I feel like there are examples to point out a good way to do something fast or slow and bad ways. Because depending on what kind of material you're dealing with, you can't necessarily do this kind of slowness in the same way that you would get for another film, or you can't necessarily use this kind of speed because you have to complement the story. You know what I mean? So like I would say like the slowness of the Nun is just the kind where you want to walk in front of a bus because it's too slow. In the
Yeah,
case of
yeah, right.
Annabelle Comes Home, it's like it's slow, but not to the point to where I felt like I lost interest in the movie. It was more like I think it's slow to try to, make us forget the fact that there's just all this terror looming in the background. And once it creeps up again, I think it was meant to kind of catch you off guard, like, oh yeah, don't forget that this is here, you know?
And hey, Stevie J in the chat. Butterfingers, I think that's Goldfinger. I swear he's changed his thing several times. And Mega Jetty Geek was in here. Um, Good to see you. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, I do I do I don't know. I do kind of understand both points of views. That was really my contention, and also keep in mind too, I was coming off of a double shift, so that could have added to why I was so exhausted as well. But because
Yeah,
that could
that
affect.
yeah, that might be the case. Maybe I don't want to say it is or it isn't. I feel like you would know before I would because I think that, when a person is tired, there is a lack of patience and you kind of want everything to get to the point. Like if you're tired, you're trying to go home or whatever you're trying to do, you don't want no distractions. Like certain things will irritate you in a way that it wouldn't if you were fully rested.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was like Dark Phoenix slow or the Nun slow. It just felt like there was a chunk of it that just slowed a bit down, and it made it weird for me because you had a pretty engaging beginning where it was like, oh shit, there's this stuff going down. They got this doll, the scene we were talking about where they saw all that shit. You had the Warrens in the beginning. I'm like, all right, I'm in it. And then the part where they get to the house and then you jump to the babysitter and everything going on there. I found the Warren's daughter very intriguing. I have found her intriguing since she was introduced in The Conjuring, I believe, what, two or whatever, when they
Yeah.
first introduced the daughter and her ability. So I was like, that makes sense because now you have a character who's like the mother, so she's gonna be able to suss out all of the shit that's going down. So that part was okay for me. I knew you needed the stupid element, I call it. So you had the stupid friend who was touching everything. But I mean, it was just uh, I don't know, that middle piece for me, man, was the thing that kind of took me out for a second. So and
You
the other
you yeah,
annoying.
you right.
Oh, continue. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying like no, you're right about um the slowness, but I think that Perp and I, we took the slowness differently than you. That's what it sounds like, but continue.
Yeah, yeah, and
They
now
did
that's
all that
all I'm
creative
thinking.
shit with certain scenes.
What's that?
Nah, I said they did a lot of creative things with certain scenes in that movie. I feel.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree. There were other issues I had. The one thing that's always annoyed me about this, I hate the jump scare thing. Like, and this has been not just this horror franchise, but horror in general. A lot relies a lot on these days. Like,
I I don't feel like it
stupid.
had that many jump scares. I think it had like a
No,
few, but
yeah, it had a few because like in my opinions, like to me, jump scares don't really make a movie good or bad. Like a jump scare is only meant to complement what's there. So like for example, if you have a good movie, it doesn't matter about the jump scares. Like if the movie is bad and you're leaning towards that to make up for a lack of plot and characters and intrigue, then that's when it gets bad to me. Like so in the case of Annabelle Comes Home, I counted I would say there was about four maybe that I would really legitimately call jump scares. So I'm like over the course of an hour and 46 minutes, it's not really that much. And I feel like they did make you focus on the Judy character a lot in certain scenes, like, okay, how is she gonna do without her parents? And, what is this babysitter gonna do? How stupid is her friend gonna get? And then when that dude showed up with the guitar, like, is he gonna just make everyone else die because he's just showing up and he shouldn't really be there? He's like a distraction and shit. Like,
I was
I
like,
gotta say that
I
part
was
to me
surprised.
wasn't that bad.
I was surprised that what I'm saying, that the boyfriend didn't, what I'm saying, like didn't get killed. Sounds funny.
that's right, Perp. I was like when he I don't know what it was, Zod and Perp, but like when he showed up like kind and he was just like, yeah, and he played the
Look,
guitar,
it's
I thought
especially
he was gonna die
it's
right there.
especially what he was going against. Like that shit was it should have
Yeah.
been.
He dealt with a
Well,
ghost
here's
that
my
was
other
he
gripe with
he
it.
dealt with like a demonic werewolf or some shit, like or at least like a ghost werewolf, and like he managed to escape, and then he managed to
Yeah.
fuck one of them up with his guitar.
It
So
was
I'm like,
it was a hellhound. That's what
yeah,
they were
see, there you
called.
go. So yeah, like when you have someone that's a coward and they manage to survive certain situations, then it's like, huh, well, I guess this is just nothing but you got lucky. But even though he was getting lucky, I thought at some point he was definitely going to die and like his luck would run out. Like that's what I was waiting for. Like this dude is gonna die.
Um,
uh,
I have to say, my other gripe with this was the rating. All right, I don't know about you guys. You watched the same film I did. I felt like this was not an R-rated film, like whatsoever. Like, I I
I can
did
see what you
not
mean.
hear a lot
It's
of
def-
language.
it was
There was
definitely like a
one or two
Jennifer's
parts.
body.
What's that?
It was definitely like a Jennifer's body because Jennifer's body was not like a rated R movie to me when I wanted to see it.
Yeah, yeah. There were only a
Ugh,
few things where you
man, that
could go.
movie was horrible.
And so we talked about this the other
Facts.
day, and I'm thinking maybe because of the whole demonic angle, but I was like watching it and going, man, considering, and once again, we're not spoiling it, but considering how it turns out at the ending, which is just about as good as you can get in a horror film, I was just like, why the fuck is this rated R? That pissed me off too, because I was like, yo, man, like creation, people were getting jacked up in that movie. Like,
I got an
it,
issue with the ending, but I'll get whenever we get to the end.
like
You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to spoil what happens because I'm trying to do non spoilers, but
The
it doesn't
ending
feel
was
like a
like,
R-rated
oh,
film.
like all right, but I think that the reason why, like, when it comes to an R rating, there's different things that will get you an R rating. Like, if there's a lot of cursing, if there's a lot of excessive blood and gore, if there's a lot of demonic Satanist kind of stuff, like that will get you like to an R. Like, and that's just by itself. Like, say if you have a relatively nice movie, but you have like, I don't know, like there's a 5 minute scene where you got people worshiping the devil and stuff like that. Like that alone can get you a PG-13 rating.
Yeah, like
So
I you know,
the way that they rate movies is
which is
interesting,
crazy.
but yeah, but it's like when you find out how the rating system works, like more things will make sense to you. Like even if you don't necessarily agree, like they're doing it for a reason.
yeah, but I just that part, you know, and a lot of people said that to me coming out of the film. They were like, "Yo, you know, I thought this was like an R-rated movie, but it didn't feel like an R at all." So I went in and watched it. I was like, "Yeah, like the cursing thing. There was that I could remember really no cursing in it,
No,
um,
no.
like whatsoever. Um, the gore there was really nothing gory except for like maybe one or two scenes where there was like blood and stuff. But I mean, like nothing to the extent of like your typical horror movie. And as far as what happens to the characters, nothing to indicate it getting an R. So I'm like, why the hell is this movie an R-rated film? Like
And
Annabelle 1, you had the two parents essentially get brutally stabbed at the end of the movie, which explains how Annabelle becomes cursed or whatever. And then in the second film, you had that shit going down where people were just getting messed up and dying left and right in creation. And then in this one, I'm watching it, and I'm like, dude, there's like nothing here. This could have easily passed. And as far as the ratings go, the Meg got a PG-13, and there was literally a scene where someone got ripped apart by that giant ass shark, and they
and
still.
that's exactly why it got PG-13. It was that one scene that bumped it up to that because like before that, like if they didn't have that scene, it would have been PG. So that like think about that for perspective purposes. That like you said, they had that scene where that person got ripped apart and it's PG-13. That one scene is why they got that rating. Just that one scene.
And I mean, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there some language in that too?
Yeah, it was there was some language, but it's like you can get away with some. Like it's all about how does the entire movie look? Like when you look at the whole movie, what is it consisting of? Like, because if you have a relatively nice movie where there's not a whole lot of violence, there's not a whole lot of nudity and this and that, you can get away with some curse words, and then they'll be like, yeah, PG-13, no problem, because this is not relatively adult. It's just a couple characters say certain things, but they're like, oh, okay, this is fine. But you mix that with somebody getting ripped apart, you have PG-13. If you have like another one or two scenes like this, it's R. And if you have another scene, you could hit that whole NC-17, and then they'll say, no, you got to cut this one scene out if you're trying to keep it at R because you've already passed it.
Fair enough. Uh, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's still very subjective. I almost want to say maybe the occult stuff is what got it. Well,
That's exactly what I'm saying because like
I can't think of
you
nothing.
yeah, right, but that's exactly why I highlighted that specifically because I think that's exactly what did it because you have to take in consideration that like a lot of kids go to the movies and generally speaking, since that's so dark and evil, like, parents don't necessarily want their kids exposed to that. So if you put an R rating on it, then less kids will watch it. They would have to wait until they buy it or it's at home or something, but they won't be able to come out in droves to see it in the theater.
Yeah, which is that's fair enough. That's fair. That's fair enough. I can kind of see from that perspective because I gotta tell you that also pissed me off because I'm like, damn man, I was expecting like when I came out some shit was gonna go down. You know what I mean? Like it was gonna be
Right,
some
right,
crazy
right.
off the wall shit. It's an R rating. I'm like, yeah, just crazy shit's gonna go down. And don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not detracting from the movie. I'm here as the person who didn't like the film to pick apart things, to get that perspective. Purpose coming from a perspective of liking it, and you know, uh, you're coming from a perspective of being in the middle of the road. So we
Yeah,
got
I'm like the film is passable. I'm just coming from a position of like I didn't hate it, but it's like I wanted it to be more Annabelle instead of, her being part of a larger scheme of things.
And
So
that
that
was
that's my
honestly my
position.
huge problem. My huge problem was like my overall problem was, yeah, the stuff that was in it, especially towards the end, and that was cool, man. The effects were good. Like I said, one thing about Conjuring movies, they got good effects, they got good lighting, they got good cinematography. The movie flows smoothly. Like, I got no issues with that. But what I do have an issue with is like I felt like this marketed something that I didn't come to see. You know what I mean? This is like, hey,
Right.
this is what we got coming up, but it's like I just want to finish out Annabelle, and I don't feel like they did, but they really didn't wrap up that storyline for me. Maybe they're making another one. I don't know. But I'm really just, I was hoping that they just bookend it and make it a one, two, and three, and then give us an ending and be like, okay, this character is done. Now we're continuing with the rest of the other stuff. Because I mean, that whole samurai thing, and I'm not ruining it. It's in the previews. I like to know that story. Like when that was in the movie, I was like, shit, I want to know like
Yeah, yeah,
how that.
that's right. Like they can literally make a movie about everything in that room if they wanted to. It just has to be good. That's all.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I pay to see that because you can go back now. Like one thing I will give it is that it does make you curious. Like the one dude with the coins and the um and the armor there. I like to see those stories and like have separate movies for those because that was very intriguing. And really, the samurai armor got me
I
because I was like, yo,
I
that shit.
I think like in terms of the director of whatever Conjuring movie in the franchise, like the director never has any control over marketing. Like that's a completely different set of people and talent. So the director can have a certain vision of how, he or she wishes that the movie should be promoted to people. And the marketing people for that movie could do something completely different. And the director could be in disagreement. Like, no, no, like you should focus on this because this would be misleading, but they ain't got no control over that. Your job as a director is to make the movie. Like you don't have any more say so after that in terms of like how the trailers are and what kind of posters that all that kind of stuff. But in terms of like the marketing for these movies, um, there's too often where too many humans they don't realize that it's all part of the same universe until it's too late. But fortunately, because they are horror movies, you will find that a lot of people did watch them, but they may not be aware. They'll you tell them like, oh yeah, the Annabelle Comes Home is connected, or the Nun or the Curse of La Llorona, and they're like, really? They're like, I watched it, but I didn't know. So I think that they should just start with the marketing they need to say from the Conjuring franchise, so that way people know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like I could have been cool if there was another indication that like, hey, just so you know, these are all going to be like here, like from like you said, from the Conjuring franchise or something like that. So Perp, we've talked a little bit. Tell me what stuck out for you, how you felt about how they did everything, and do you feel like this wrapped up Annabelle's story well, or it was a
Well, I mean,
plug for something bigger.
I don't think this is the end of Annabelle because we still yet to see what she's doing in like the or what the doll's doing in the present. We don't know where it's at. Um, I thought it was okay because the only thing that ruined it for me, well, not like ruined the movie, but would have been better is the ending. Like I was surprised that the body count wasn't higher, honestly.
Yep, that's exactly where I'm at. That when I said the R-rated tag, I thought for sure, some people were gonna die, or a lot of
Like
people were gonna die.
at
But then I
least two
looked
or
at the
three
stuff, and
characters
I'm
should
like,
have
this
died.
movie.
Yeah, it's like it. Yeah, I can see that. I wasn't thinking of it in that way. I mean, I noticed it, but like for me, it
Hmm.
wasn't really an issue because like when I'm watching horror movies, naturally I want a whole lot of humans to die, but at the same time, I kind of prioritize story and characters and story progression over the idea of
Right.
just sheer death. So
Hmm.
usually it's like once I check everything else off, it's like, okay, well, considering that this is what it is, how many casualties do we have? How many deaths and all this kind of stuff? And then so for me, it can go, well, I liked it. I wish
I
more
think,
people would have died, and then so on and so
yeah,
on.
but at the same time, I like that it showed you how OP Annabelle is. 'Cause Annabelle is by far like to me, she's stronger than the nun. Like if you can sit there and just like activate these different things, whatever, and it's just that's pretty OP.
Now, see, like for me, like when all that stuff happened, I felt like the activation was because of that girl. Like if she didn't touch that stuff, like that stuff wouldn't have happened. I felt like once the girl, when she started messing with shit, she released
Mm.
everything, and then it was like the Annabelle doll, like the energy that's inside of that, it just was able to keep them around longer. Like it kept Judy and everyone else from getting rid of them faster. So I
Mm.
took it as not so much, Annabelle summited, but she was like, oh, you're trying to get rid of this. Nope. Because then I can still do what I'm doing if you're distracted by all these other ones. So it's kind of like what they would call a boost in power. Like, kind of like when you give like an athlete some kind of sports drink or you pump them up with steroids. Like, it's just a boost of some kind. Like, what's already a problem now becomes more of a problem because of this.
Right.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
so Zod, you didn't like the bride character. I like the bride. And I heard that's
I
supposed
was
to be one
just,
of the
I was
movies
kinda
that they're
like,
making in the future.
I'm like, yeah, but the bride is that is from, if I remember correctly, the Curse of La Llorona, because that's exactly what La Llorona looked like.
I mean, I think this one's a little bit different, like, because this one
Yeah, I think
actually,
this one is
you
different.
know,
Yeah.
this one's that's a cursed item. So
Yeah,
actually,
I'd
cause
have to
remember,
I'd
like,
have to go back and watch that movie again because I was pretty sure the whole thing in that movie was connected to, I can't remember if it was a dress or if it was um
it was a
uh
wedding dress.
a necklace or not a necklace, a bracelet. I have to go
The
back and watch
bracelet.
it again.
Now the thing that I question is like, okay, because everything in there, you have a cursed object in which something comes from. Like in the case of, say, like a hellhound and stuff, like
That
according
shit's
to the
lit.
lore, like there is no object that would, summon a hellhound. Like it would have to be specifically pulled from hell by another demon. So
Right.
I'm like that couldn't have been like a standard hellhound because I'm like the object, like how would it be able to release it? I feel like those objects are supposed to be a gateway for something evil, but where there's a gateway, it means that something has to walk through it or something has to pull them out of whatever they're being contained in.
Yeah, that's a good point. I There was so much by the ending, there was so much shit going down. That was the one thing that confused me too, because I'm like, wait a second, what the
And
hell is a werewolf?
going back to thinking that this is for a prequel to like The Conjuring 3, I think this is actually before Conjuring 2, because if you remember the ending,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying, when they're all like gathered, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You said,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
That, yeah, you could
Yeah,
be
yeah,
right
that
about
that's
that.
that's true. That's true. But at the
that's
same
probably
time,
before,
like, yeah. I think they were still like trying to get us ready for
because
part three though.
because that Hellhound shit, they mentioned that again, because they mentioned that in Conjuring 2, like the end of Conjuring 2, ended up like
Right,
working on
right.
his case where this guy thought he was like had something to do with him turning into a wolf or something like that, or he thinks he was turning into a wolf, or he had something attached to him or something. But
Yeah, see, like that's where, see, that's more of a werewolf because I'm like a person can't turn into a hellhound. Like a hellhound is like,
yeah, you know what I'm saying though. But
yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but it's just like it's one of those things because I'm like, like when something. like usually like say a demon or a spirit or whatever, if it has hell in the name, they tend to put hell in the name to get you to know that
Hmm.
it's 100% from hell. So I'm like usually like if a vampire or a werewolf, something that a person could essentially turn into, that tends to be more basic than like something as complicated as that. So like that alone would just throw me off. I'm like, wait, how is that even possible that would happen? But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. When you throw in so many things uh, into a film and then market it like it's just about one thing, making it connect is kind of it's a juggling act. And I mean, don't get me wrong. By the end of it, they did connect into the main story, which was about Annabelle. You know, you had that whole scene at the end, and that just dealt with what we had seen from previous movies. So I was cool with
Right,
that,
right,
and how they had
right.
to deal with that at the end. And but the other thing, and this was brought up to me by Bitchy Unicorn, was like, how the hell did two little girls shut that case? Like, I call bullshit on that. Like,
okay,
You said
okay,
what?
I would like how did the girl shut the case? I'll tell you how because
Oh,
Annabelle is basically a demon anyway. So when it comes to demons or anything supernatural, if you're able to weaken it, then that means you can do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do. Like if a demon or something is at full strength, you would never be able to close them in any kind of container or anything. But if you
right,
distract them or weaken them, you have a small window to do what you need to do. And like this is very consistent with anything horror based that there is only like a short window of opportunity. Like there's something specific that you have to do if you wish to destroy or contain something. Like in the same way, um, Hellraiser, for example, the idea of the puzzle box that releases the Cenobites, and you can use that to suck them back into that to be rid of them. But as easy as that sounds, it's not because in order for you to solve the puzzle box, you have to not die, and you have to do something to distract them while you're solving it. So in the case of Annabelle, them weakening it and putting it in a certain position, that's how they were able to close it. So like for
yeah,
me, it
but
made
that's still
sense.
having trouble. And then the one stupid chick is the one who, capital W. And I'm just like, I'm still not
but
buying it. I was
but
good up to that point because I'm like, you're talking about like little girls or teenage
Yeah,
girls.
but you have to
Little
remember that
grown
Judy
men.
was also there too. Like Judy was there. Like
Yeah,
she
but she
has
was
like she
there.
has
She was
like the
there
like her faith
distracted.
gives her strength.
She was there distracted though because of the other thing that was going down. You know
Well, yeah,
that we all
but but
saw.
then but then you had all of them. But then you had all of them come and make sure that it closed because you had the babysitter and her dumbass friend that they were trying to do what they were doing, and then Judy came up and was like, "Nope, I'll help," and it was just that extra strength, and it was like because Judy is who she is, and there's like a lot of faith and stuff like that. Like demons tend to get crippled by that. Like in the scene earlier in the movie when she had her cross and shit, she was like, "Nope, nope, nope." And then that demon was gone fast as fuck in a way that doesn't normally happen with just regular people.
Yeah, but what I was saying was their most powerful person, Judy, was distracted. It was the other girl, the idiot, who was the one who finally was able to help them out. And I was just like, man, she did not. She was the one who didn't had the least amount of whatever. And I mean, you could say character development, and at the end, and she pulled her stuff together, but that still wasn't the case until the very end. And then she closed the chapter of what she was dealing with. So I was just like, come on,
But
how
but
is it
but
all this?
Judy's presence makes all the difference. Like there's a reason why they didn't just die. You know what I'm saying? Like there were like did you notice that there were moments where these characters could have been killed, but you notice that there is hesitation or that these individuals are doing something extra. Like that was because of Judy. Like if you remove Judy from that equation, like oh man, they'd have been dead, like probably instantly.
Yeah, most of them would have been gone. But yeah, so yeah, I could kind of understand that. I don't know. I guess talking about it, some things are made um a little bit clearer. It's still overall for me, it falls flat. I don't call it the nun type like disappointment. Just more of there were some things that I wish that it would have had, but
Look,
I mean I won't call it like the worst film either. Even in my review, I said it
look,
was
look at it
fourth
this way.
of the things I've seen.
Look at it
Like
this way. They introduced a lot of cool shit in there. Like that, if anything, out of that whole, um, out of everything they've shown in that movie, I want to see a movie based on that TV.
Right,
oh
right. See,
yeah, I
see,
was
the
playing
see,
the
see,
TV,
see.
bro, because I was like, yo, what is the deal with that?
It's
Yo,
like
Perp. That is perfectly said, Perp. Because look, even if a person walks away and they weren't satisfied or whatever, you can take comfort in the fact that they have set up so many possibilities to keep you going back for more.
right.
So in terms,
We're getting Crooked
yeah,
Man
right,
in the
right.
future. That's like,
In terms of a franchise, that's the best thing you can do. What you don't want to happen is for whether a person likes it or not. What you don't want is for them to walk away going, I guess that's complete. I guess we're not getting any more films. No, no, no. You want them to be
nah.
thinking about all the stuff that they can possibly get
Like
after.
there's gonna be a definite Annabelle 4, and there's definitely gonna be a lot more spinoffs. Like I already heard, like the next new spinoff they're gonna do after the Crooked Man is The Bride, and
Yeah, so yeah,
like
yeah.
I said, I want to see a movie based around that TV. That's all I'll
I
say.
want to
That's
see
not
a movie based on that samurai. Like that thing has been
that
highlighted
Samurai's kind of
for like
whack. I don't know.
three movies.
All he does is just look at you. That's all he does is just
No,
stare
but
you
there's
down.
gotta
You know
be
about
more.
that.
Like when they highlighted the things that they did, I don't want to spoil it, but you know what I'm talking about. And you heard like all that
I
screaming. And then remember, she was kind of mesmerized by it for a while. I think that there's some kind of
I
because remember, everything has a purpose in there, and I think it's some kind of like if you're too close to it, you relive something or something like that. Because like when she's looking at it and then she's hearing the screams and stuff, it's like she's seeing something, but we don't know what she's seeing. I like for them to.
Honestly,
yeah, an increased sense. It's an increased sense of paranoia, which
mhm.
if you know anything about paranoia, that can just kill everybody in the room. Like if a person sees something that's not there and then they try to attack it, but you end up killing your best friend because you thought your best
Right.
friend had something coming out of his head or something. Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, all right, let's go down the line because I want to keep this kind of brief because then I got to set up for this late night stream and I'm hitting the hour mark, which is what I want to do for these. So I might have you guys on for more of these roundtable panels because
Right.
I really enjoy discussing this and you guys have given me a better
Are,
perspective.
are you seeing Midsummer?
Oh, hell yeah.
Are you seeing it, Terrence?
um, yeah. I mean, I'll see it like because
That's
it's a
probably
movie.
the next thing we talk about, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's you talking about that movie, right?
Yeah, it's a horror movie. That shit long as hell. That shit's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'm like, God damn, this is gonna be a slow
Yeah,
burn.
yeah, no, if it's a movie, like best believe I'm gonna see it. It's just a matter of like when I get to it, because you know me, like I want to
Hmm.
watch everything in terms of
Right.
movies at least. So yeah,
So yeah, we could definitely plug that at the end because I want to see that too. And I dug Hereditary. That was like to me, that was one of the, and I know everyone's been on the fence. You either really like it or you don't. But for me, that was one of the best horror movies of 2018 was Hereditary. I had never seen anything like it. Like the onset, the way they set it up, and with the girl dying, like in the beginning, that shit just like had me from that moment where her head gets clipped. I was like, oh, this ain't a normal movie. Like they don't do that normally. The creepy character sticks around, and that girl was creepy as shit. And I
All
was like,
right. So
oh, it's gonna be typical. And then bam, smack, they take her head off, and I was like, oh yeah, okay.
all right, I got a question for both of you. Like, so if both of you, if you heard that I had wrote and directed a horror movie, would you guys go and see
Hell yeah.
depends.
it?
What
Like,
would this horror be? Well, I would need to know what this horror movie would be about because
Right,
I don't
right.
know. I want to get set up.
I got you, but man, Perp, like I thought you were gonna be on my side, man.
No,
Like,
no, no. I wasn't gonna see it though. I just want to be like, yo, you ain't gonna have like no crazy shit pop out. I don't like that shit. Like,
but yeah, Perp, you like you got you both of you know that like my mind is just like just so many ideas and stuff. So I feel like I wouldn't just like if I were doing that, I wouldn't just do stuff just to be crazy, but I would, make something to where it's not going to necessarily be like something that you've seen a lot. So, when you said it depends, I feel like I know where you're coming from. You're
nah,
like,
nah,
I don't
I
know,
was
man.
kidding.
Like,
I was kidding. No, I'll definitely go see it regardless. I was
yeah,
like, he can make a
like you're like,
he can make a movie about demonic unicorns and shit. I'll go watch that shit.
Oh,
oh,
I know someone who would like that.
hey, I'll
That
tell you
sounds
right now,
crazy.
like, just imagine that, like, if it's just something, even if it's just that in the title, it's like Demonic Unicorn, written and directed by Terrence Harris. Like, like
I'd see
I'll
it
go
just
see
out of
that.
curiosity. I'd be like, demonic unicorn. Okay.
Let's see what
right. I think,
Go for an Oscar.
I think everybody would go because they're like, wait a minute, a unicorn that's demonic. Like, what is that? What does that even mean? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's kind of start winding this down, and I'm gonna go to some final thoughts. Um, as far as what object we want to see. I kind of got your takes, but we're just going to elaborate. Perp, tell us what you would like to see first as far as spinoffs go.
I want to see. I want to see that TV. I want to see that TV. That's one. I want to see the bride because the bride. I feel like for me was interesting.
Okay.
Um, I'm definitely interested in the Nun too. Because for me, I like the Nun. It wasn't the best movie in the world, but for what it had in it, like some creative, creepy shit in it, like that was cool for me. Besides
Hmm.
everything that happened at the end of it, but I still like the Nun character.
Um, to quickly expand upon very briefly, when I saw the Nun, because I thought it was so bad, it kind of made me want to go back and rewatch certain episodes of Supernatural that they did about evil nuns. One of
Mm,
which was very similar to the Nun that came out before that Nun movie, and then there was another one where you had demonic nuns like stealing people's souls and crazy shit like that. So yeah.
mm, interesting.
So then, Terrence, what would you like to see out of these movies?
Um, honestly, I want to see a movie about everything in that room.
Right. Yeah, let me add something real quick. I want to see because we see this item in like every single one of the movies, pretty much like the monkey with I think
Yeah, that
I
monkey in
want to
the
see.
Right.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
in every.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
definitely I want to know what the because it's so like letting your guard down, and I want to get more about that. So I'll go into mine. I want to see the thing. I got the weirdest ones, but they were actually the most fascinating to me. Number one, the samurai armor. I want to know more about that. The
diversity.
box.
They probably have an all Asian cast. Like, yo, that'd be dope. They
That
got
You
would,
some.
and I
hey,
would
that'd
want
be
it
sick,
set
man.
in Japan.
Yeah, get some Japan shit.
Hey, I'm telling you, in the trailer, they have to put from the Conjuring franchise. They got to do it, man. Because the
Right.
Yep,
reason I
make
found
sure you
out,
make it
yeah,
clear.
you want to know how I found out everything was connected? Because I did research. Like, normally when I watch a movie, I look it up, see who wrote it, directed, and I was like, wait, this is connected to the like, but see, a lot of people, they don't do that. So they got to start putting that in the trailers. I'm just saying.
Yep, I definitely agree. I want to see that. I want to see the box with the hands.
Yeah, that shit was cool.
Oh,
That looks
yeah.
like that looks like an effed up
Who's
game of Twister.
uh, here's the question: Whose hands are those?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Are they like souls trapped in hell in another dimension? Like what's going on?
Yeah, I definitely like to see that, and I want to see, like you said, man, the monkey. That I'm like every single one that monkey at least once they flash on that, and I want to see what the
Yep.
hell is
Ooh,
that
Ooh,
money.
Yeah.
also, the what was it, the ferryman?
Yeah, and the
Hmm.
and
Because that,
definitely.
Damn, that's a good point, Perp. Like that fucking monkey has been there all this time.
right, he's always in this.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the ferryman, where like you could take that shit all the way back in time. Like I don't know how far that goes back, whatever and
That's
shit.
like
And
settler times, like.
yeah, like you can go back to that times and have that shit look really crazy. Like the atmosphere for that would be crazy.
And one thing we can't take away from these films, what separates them from the pack for me is just the cinematography and the set pieces and things. You could tell, like, if you say nothing else about every single film within this universe, it is well shot. There is a good direction. Um, and there's they set a certain atmosphere at each film that I think that's what's the draw. And
Hey,
they
hey,
see like that, you could have franchise for years to come. This could be like 21 movies of a horror franchise. I mean, you're looking at like some groundbreaking work, and they're not trying to be like anything else. They're setting their
nope.
own
Right.
pace.
Yep.
You know, I'll give them
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Like it's just it's 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 like you have a vision and then it becomes more popular than you imagine and you're like, let's make it keep going, but then still give it the same passion and attention to details so that way people will want to come back for future movies.
Yeah. So even if my overall feelings are this, even if the movie doesn't do it for you, um, I did give it a Zod disapproves, but I did say to yeah, I did. Because I really did disapprove. I still disapprove just because it disappointed me in the ways that I talked about. Some of it was cleared up, but I stick by what I say.
And
I'm not
Zod,
going to
Zod,
change
I, Zod, this just randomly popped up in my mind. Like, I wish I knew like James Wan because like for you and like all my other friends, like I would just have him do something that only like you and my other friends would know. Like I'd be like, all right, look in that cursed room, like whatever scene where you're gonna have the camera pan over it and focus on different objects. I want you to have a picture of me, just like on the shelf, like
Oh,
next to Annabelle,
God.
like, like just Perp. It's gonna be the biggest smile of me in the picture. That's just next to Annabelle, just randomly.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
So,
That'd be wild.
this has been a roundtable discussion. Maybe afterwards for these different horror movies and little like obscured things that we see, we'll do something like this for the people. We seem to be getting a decent enough crowd watching these. So thank you guys for coming on. Before we get going, I'm gonna have you guys put in your channels, and then yeah, I'm gonna set up my stream for 12:30 because I got to go and get an energy drink and snacks. So,
LB.
because that's how I roll. Anyways, let's start with you, Perp. Go ahead and introduce your channel, and you also have something out that I saw being promoted.
Oh yeah. It's Perp got Spider-Man Far From Home movie review coming out soon. I'm gonna go see that shit Monday at midnight. Wanted to
Yep.
see that shit in the morning, but I'm gonna go see that shit at midnight, and I'm gonna have that review out very soon. So be on the lookout for that. And it's been dope being on this channel once again.
All right, thank you, man. And a new addition to our roundtable discussion. Go ahead and plug your channel, sir.
Hey, what's up, humans? It's Terrance. I've been chatting with Zod and Perp for a while. You know, really cool guys, and I enjoy just talking to them about whatever that topic may be. If you go over to the Tramaine Terrance channel, you will see that there is tons and tons of different types of topics that I like to talk about, and I have fun talking about whatever it is, and there's a lot of passion there, which allows me to constantly make stuff. And you can often find me on General Zod's channel on different streams and joining him talking about whatever we feel like talking about that day. So happy to be here. And I want to say thank you to Zod for inviting me, and thank you to Perp for talking to me about this. And until next time, Terrence out.
Awesome. And of course, this has been General Zod here in the fandom zone. And I want to let you guys know I will be having a review coming out of yesterday. I'm still working on the edit of it. I didn't like my first uh, thing. I hate shooting my reviews now because like I'm starting to get the feel of the program, and I'm trying to do new unique things on my reviews. So that'll be coming out soon. I may or may not see Spider-Man. I'm still on the fence, but I'm thinking I'm gonna go and see it. Maybe we'll have a roundtable discussion about that too, and see where everyone lands. Maybe it'll win me over that Marvel has not given us a break. Maybe they gave us a fantastic film. We'll see. I'm not on the hype train like most people. Even though Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters, I'm still reeling from the blow of knowing that Cap will no longer be in the Avengers. So I'm still in mourning for that.
Zod, I wanted to add that you know, I'm I feel like there's the whole hype train, which is, most individuals that watches these movies anyway, they're not real Marvel fans, like in a sense that they like are really, really passionate about the comics and stuff, which is not a bad thing. But I'm just saying, like, for me, I'm not on no hype train. Like, I'm on the Marvel train, which means that if it's Marvel, Terrence is showing up, like, period. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I depend mine on my likability of the comic. I have been a longtime fan of Spider-Man, Captain America, those kinds, and then I've known Thor, Vision, and all of them in their comics. But um, I'll probably go and see uh Spider-Man just because I want to see how they do Mysterio, and I was on board with the casting of Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he's going to do a good Mysterio. I don't know why. Sometimes you just look at these things. I'm like, yeah, that's Mysterio. There's something.
I think when we watch it, there's gonna be some stuff in it that's gonna drop the jaw on the ground. I'm telling you, like,
Yeah,
Uh,
and they're doing the green shit with Mysterio. So I mean, I think that there's more than the just what we're seeing. So you
oh,
know.
I can guarantee that, and I haven't seen it.
So,
yeah.
anyways, tune into the channel for that. And as always, when you're here on the channel, remember the golden rule: kneel before Zod. Peace out, everybody.